I did ask you this question before, and you said that it had come back from guests.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just wondering, do you have any success stories from listeners who have taken actions from the show's content?
Yeah, I definitely do. And kind of the funny story around these is that these people started off as listeners and as it happens end up being guests in the long run. But from, I guess, when they were listeners and maybe post interview, there's a couple of examples that I really like to refer to where club owners and fitness industry consultants have used the content from the show to help educate their team. So top of mind in that kind of category would be Luke Carlson from Discover Strength and Chris Stevenson from Stevenson Consulting. And in both of those situations, they've told me stories where they would find an episode that was relevant to their business or the team that they were working with at the time. They would share that episode, and I'll use Luke as an example here. He always talks about Project Learn, where he would share an episode with his team. They would go away and consume it, and then they'd come back the next day and kind of dissect the information that they learned from the show and then work out what actions they could use from it to implement into their business. So for me, hearing stories like that, and like you mentioned, there was that listener story earlier, that review that I read you, who talked about, how she's used the information in their business. So hearing stories like that means a huge amount, because it's not just, oh great, we're getting a bit of entertainment, which is not what we're about. They are actually getting education and using what they learn to help their business, and that's why we do what we do.
And I guess it'd be remiss of us not to say and ask people to tell us when they've heard an action or an idea in a show, not to come back and tell you or drop us an email that says, hey, I listened to the show and I did this, because we want to hear those sorts of stories, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. Because when we think about, and I think we'll talk about it a bit later, but, part of creating this show and part of our planning process is making sure that we're delivering content that we know is useful and that we know that you want to hear, that's going to benefit your business. So yeah, absolutely. For anyone that's watching this or listening right now, please continue to tell us what is great, what you don't want to hear, what you do want to hear, what you need to hear more of, because that helps us in our planning process, and we're not a show unless we've got listeners. So, we absolutely encourage and invite you all to please let us know what's working, what you love about the show, and what you've been able to use in your business. That's super important.